If you see your phone ringing and immediately feel dread, even when it's someone you actually like, yeah, this video is for you because I'm going to explain what's really going on there, and it's not what people think. So first off, you're not rude, you're not a bad friend, and honestly, the whole just answer your phone like a normal person thing, that advice is useless because here's what's actually happening. Your brain processes communication differently than some other people's brains do, and phone calls hit you in a very specific way that texts just don't. Let me break down why. So when someone texts you, you can think. You can read their message, process what they're asking, figure out what you want to say, type it out, delete half of it, rephrase, and then send. Your brain gets to work at its own speed. But a phone call? You're on. Right now. Someone says something and you have maybe 2 seconds before the silence gets weird. You're decoding what they said, trying to figure out what they actually mean, coming up with a response, and monitoring whether you sound normal, all at the same time. It's like the difference between writing an essay and doing improv. Some people are great at improv, but if you're someone who thinks better when you have time to think, phone calls are just harder. And that's not a flaw. That's just how your brain works. Here's something that confuses people. You might be totally fine talking to someone in person. Like, you can have dinner with a friend and talk for 2 hours, no problem. But then that same friend calls you and suddenly it feels exhausting. It's not that you can't do it, it's just that it takes more energy than most people realize. With text, you control the pace. You can respond in 2 minutes or 2 hours. You can end the conversation when you need to. You're never trapped. Phone calls have this open-ended quality that can feel really uncomfortable. You don't know if this is going to be a 2-minute call or a 40-minute call. You can't easily exit without seeming rude. And if the other person wants to keep talking, you're kind of stuck there. For people who are already thinking about 100 things, that lack of control is stressful. Like you might be in the middle of something, your brain is in a certain mode, and then your phone rings and it's like, okay, drop everything, shift your entire mental context, and be socially present for an unknown amount of time. That's a big ask. Here's a weird thing that happens. Sometimes the anticipation is worse than the actual call. You'll put off calling someone back for 3 days. You'll think about it constantly. You'll mentally rehearse what you're going to say. You'll feel guilty about not calling. And then when you finally do call, it takes 90 seconds and it's fine. But that doesn't mean you were being ridiculous. It means your brain needed that preparation time. You needed to get yourself ready for the performance aspect of it, for the real-time processing, for the energy it was going to take. Some people can just pick up the phone cold. You can't, or at least you really don't want to. And that's okay. That just means you're an internal processor. You do your thinking first, then you communicate. One more thing. This has gotten harder for a lot of people in the last few years because we finally have options. 20 years ago, if someone wanted to reach you, they called, that was it. So you just dealt with it. But now you can text, you can voice message, you can email. And once your brain realizes, oh, I actually prefer this other way, going back to phone calls feels even worse. It's like if you spend your whole life writing with your non-dominant hand, because that's what everyone did, and then someone finally said, hey, you can use your other hand. Once you do, using the non-dominant hand feels almost painful. You're not getting worse at phone calls. You're just more aware that there's a way of communicating that works better for how your brain actually functions. So here's what I want you to take from this. You're not avoiding phone calls because you're anxious or antisocial or failing at adulting. You're avoiding them because they require a type of cognitive processing that doesn't match how you naturally think and communicate. You're someone who thinks before speaking, who values having time to form your thoughts. Those are actually really good qualities. And in a world where we finally have communication options that work for different types of brains, choosing the one that works for you isn't a workaround. It's just you being honest about what helps you show up as your best self. If this made sense to you, I make videos like this every week about the psychology behind why we do the things we do, and genuinely curious. Do you avoid phone calls, but you're fine in person? Or do you struggle with both? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!